Alright everyone, it's Karl here, and I'm going to give you some instructions for how to use the Elite Pump V2. So here is some terminology to start with first. Here is the vacuum meter, or the pressure gauge. It measures in centimeters of mercury. And it goes from 0 to about 60 centimeters of mercury. On the lower left, we have 4 preset buttons, or memory slots, if you will. Here is the first, second, third, and fourth memory preset button. The fourth one has a special function, which I will get to later. On the right side, from the top, we have working time, which goes from 1 minute to, I think, 99 minutes. Here we have the vacuum maintain time, which I often refer to as the on interval. And here we have the vacuum release time, which you can set to 0. If you set this to 0, you will be working at static pressure, and it will not release pressure ever. And of course you have the start and pause buttons, which are self-explanatory. So what I will be demoing now is how to store a preset. So let's store a setting here on the first preset. So here I will dial in a pressure that I would like to start at. Let's say 25 centimeters of mercury, which is about 10 inches of mercury. I want to work at this pressure for, let's say, 3 minutes. And I want the vacuum to be maintained for 10 seconds, and I want the vacuum to be released for 3 seconds. So I will make these adjustments. Nothing has been stored yet. Now it's time to store this setting on my first preset. So what I will do now is I will press this button and hold it until I hear a beep. There it is. Now it's stored here. So if I change to another preset and then get back to it, the settings I made are now stored on the first preset. Okay, so let's say I want to design a progressive program which goes from one pressure higher, and then cycles back to start from the beginning. So let's store something on the second preset. Okay, so I will select it. So let's say I want to go up in steps of 5 centimeters of mercury, or 2 inches of mercury. Again, I want to maintain this for a working time of 3 minutes. And let's say I want to increase the vacuum maintain time to 12 seconds, but still have a 3-second release time. I will now long press the second preset button until I hear a beep. And now that setting is stored on the second preset. Okay, let's say I want to store something on the third. I will again change the pressure to what pressure I want to work at. Let's say 40 centimeters of mercury. And this time I want to work at, let's say, 8 minutes. I want to work at this pressure with a maintain time of 8 seconds and a release time of 2 seconds. I will long press the button again. Alright, so here is where the magic happens. Now, when I press the fourth preset, you can completely disregard what's on this part of the screen. The only interesting part now is working time. This is how long you want the session to go on for. 20 minutes. When I start now, what will happen is the pump will start at the first preset, work for the time that I set it to, which was 3 minutes. Then, after those 3 minutes are finished, it will automatically switch to the third preset. The second preset. It'll work there for the time I set that preset to, which was 3 minutes. Then it will switch to the third preset. And I store that to be 8 minutes.
So it'll work for 8 minutes at that setting. And then it will cycle back to the first, second, third preset, etc. for the total duration I've set at working time here.
Those are the basic functions of the pump. Now, here is an important feature. As you can see now, there are no blue boxes lighting up around any other presets. This means I'm using it in manual mode. In the manual mode, where no automation is happening, I can set it to work at whatever pressure I want to work at. I set a working time, a vacuum maintain time, a vacuum release time. And when I start, the interesting part here is that since there is no blue box around any of these 4 presets, the machine will drop to 0, as we say. That means when it is releasing the pressure will drop to 0. Whereas if I activate a preset and want to work at that preset, when the pressure drops, it'll drop not to 0 inches or centimeters of mercury. It'll drop instead to 5 inches of mercury, which is about 12 or 13, 14 centimeters of mercury. So that release pressure is not precise. It's approximately 5 inches of mercury. So when the blue box around the preset is shown, it'll drop to 5 inches, as we say. Whereas if we deactivate the blue box, it'll drop to 0 during the release time. So for milking, for instance, I often want to have a duration of 5 seconds and a release time of 2 seconds, let's say. And I want to work at relatively low pressures. So 15 centimeters of mercury, for instance. When I run this program, and I will start it now, and you will hear that the pump isn't too loud. What will happen now, when I milk at this setting, is that when it's releasing, it'll drop all the way to 0. And it releases after 5 seconds. That aerates for 2 seconds, pumps up again, up, and releases to 0, etc. Whereas, if instead I work up this setting, where you have the blue box shining here, when the blue box is lit up, it'll release and it'll only go down to 5 inches of mercury. It pumps up to 25 centimeters of mercury, and it drops, and it shows 0, but it doesn't actually drop to 0, which you will feel if you're in the lab. So it pumps up the same way, and it drops, but when it drops, it doesn't drop to 0. It drops instead to 5 inches of mercury. Those are the main features that I wanted to demonstrate with a pump. Up here, I'll tilt the unit so you see. Up here, you have a pressure release valve. Super important safety feature. If the power is cut to the unit for some reason, it'll release all the way to 0 pressure when you press that button. And on the backside here, you have the vacuum spigot, I suppose you could call it. And here is the power in and the power button. Those are the salient features of the Elite pump. That's it. Karl signing out.